So we know who we are fighting in Darktide, the Cult of Admonition and the Mobian 6th Regiment. We know, roughly, who we are fighting for, primarily the Inquisition, but with a certain white-haired rogue trader and her crew holding quite a few cards. But what are we fighting for? And why are we fighting? It's not about why we, the rejects of Grendel's warband, are literally fighting. Our motivation to avoid being lined up and shot or made into a servitor is pretty straightforward. But why are we, the Imperium, fighting so desperately for Atoma? What drives Grendel to coordinate ground assaults, strike missions, and intense close-quarter purges through the planet's hive cities over the seemingly straightforward approach of Exterminatus, or orbital bombardment? Well, it's really quite simple. Atoma Prime's manufacturing prowess has been a cornerstone for both Atoman society and the greater Mobian domain, playing a pivotal role during some of humanity's darkest periods, notably the Horus Heresy. This civil war that nearly spelled the end for humanity saw Atoma Prime emerge as an essential cog in the wheel that is the Imperium. In the midst of broken oaths, fractured loyalties, and disrupted supply chains, Atoma Prime's firm support and its Manufactorum's relentless production capabilities were vital in sustaining the loyalist efforts. It was the source of crucial war material, regularly supplying quality Leman Russ battle tanks and various other armoured units that served to significantly bolster the loyalist forces in countless theatres of war. And through surviving the heresy in a far better state than many other loyalist worlds, Atoma Prime's experience and focus positioned it as a key player in the post-heresy reconstruction, fueling the Imperium's war machine as it sought to mend and defend its countless shattered realms. And it was up until very recently, in the 42nd millennium, that Atoma Prime continued its role as part of the backbone of human military production, reliably arming the Imperium's defenders for over 10,000 years, despite occasional political turmoil and skirmishes between the great Atoman noble houses. This consistency reflects the priorities of the Imperium's upper echelons, for whom the steady stream of tanks and military equipment was absolutely key. As long as the required tides were delivered, the ruling houses of Atoma were given freedom to manage their affairs, to bicker and argue as they saw fit. Hadron herself mentions in the Manufactorum HL 1736 mission that a slight percentage disruption to the output of Atoma's Manufactorums, specifically the manufacture of the Leman Russ battle tanks, would result in the loss of the entire sector. These Manufactorums, through their sheer output and efficiency, clearly elevate Atoma Prime beyond a mere regional production center to a cornerstone of regional stability and imperial power projection. But it is not just the rate at which Atoma can churn out these tanks that makes the planet so valuable to the Imperium. Beyond the sheer volume of tanks and armoured vehicles it produces, the exceptional quality of these outputs is what really sets it apart. The reliability and superior performance of Atoma's armoured units on the battlefield is well known across the galaxy, serving as a clear indicator of the planet's advanced manufacturing prowess. Forged with the unparalleled Mobian steel, a special alloy known for its extraordinary strength and durability, Atoman armoured units benefit from a special blend of elements found nowhere else in the galaxy. This not only places Atoma's military products in a league of their own, but also highlights the planet's irreplaceable role within the Imperium's military-industrial complex. The integration of Mobian steel with Atoma Prime's state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities cements its status as a key hub of military production for the Imperium. When we consider the industrial strength and unmatched workmanship of Atoma Prime, coupled with its strategic position near Terra within the Segmentum Solar, we can start to see a clearer picture on why Grendel and the Inquisition is ready and willing to get their hands dirty on the ground. The strategic location of Atoma Prime in close proximity to Terra goes beyond just enabling short, secure supply lines. It is a critical defensive location against spreading darkness that threatens the very heart of the Imperium. Its location is incredibly important, in some ways almost acting as a guardian at the gates of the throne world. But this proximity to Terra also bestows upon Atoma Prime a weighty responsibility. As exotic and unknowable threats loom from the Fringe Wars, the Mobian Domain stands as the first line of defense against the Darktide, a sword thrust of demons, heretics, and Xenos aimed at the very heart of the Imperium. The Darktide's advance towards Terra is undoubtedly a serious threat, one that Atoma Prime, with its advanced manufacturing capabilities and veteran Mobian regiments, those brave men and women who act as both shield and spear in the Imperium's ongoing struggle against the forces of darkness, is uniquely positioned to counter. Lastly, I just thought I should mention that Exterminatus is generally considered a last resort in the arsenal of any rational Inquisitor, largely due to the considerable and irreversible loss of assets that such an action entails. But given the varied attitudes, personalities, demands, methods, and styles of Inquisitors throughout the Imperium, its use can be far more frequent than should be warranted. So it very well could be the case that Grendel is simply following standard inquisitorial protocol for responding to a chaos uprising, methodically exhausting all other options and strategies before resorting to the truly extreme measures. All this assumes, of course, that Grendel has at his disposal the requisite fleet capable of executing an Exterminatus to thoroughly cleanse Atoma Prime of the corruption spreading from Tertium, which is actually quite the assumption to make given that Grendel and the Warband are operating from a borrowed rogue trader vessel. A situation which in of itself seems really quite strange, even bordering on desperate, and raises further questions about their hidden agendas or the motivations that Grendel might have. Regardless, the strategic importance of Atoma Prime is undeniable. The planet does not merely supply the means of war for the Imperium, fueling its thirst for resources of both steel and flesh, but it also fortifies its borders, serving as a buffer zone ready to absorb and repel the onslaught of chaos and corruption directed from the fringes of the Mobian Domain. Any significant loss or defeat on Atoma Prime would clearly then have catastrophic consequences, effectively paving the way for the Darktide to advance further into the core of the Mobian Domain and towards Terra. Such a breach would not only pose a threat to the throne world, but would also demand the diversion of high-value assets, like the Astartes, who are currently engaged in other critical or more pressing conflicts across the galaxy. The Imperium cannot afford such weakness so close to its center of power, making victory on Atoma Prime a top priority for the Inquisition, the Mobian 21st Regiment, and all other loyal forces engaged in or aware of this conflict. This combination of factors highlights that Atoma Prime is a clear strategic asset in the Imperium's broader strategy of governance and defense. The decision to steer clear of Exterminatus then becomes clearer. It's a calculated gambit by Grendel, who understands that the planet's immense value and its potential for recovery outweigh the immediate simplicity of absolute destruction via Exterminatus or orbital bombardment. This decision speaks volumes about the subtle strategic calculus going on in the minds of many elites within the Imperium, including that of Grendel. It hints at a complex balancing act, where the choices made are not solely about immediate gains or losses, but rather are deeply connected to the broader context of galactic stability and the survival of the human race. Atoma Prime is a jewel in the crown of the Imperium, a beacon of industrial might and military readiness that serves as a cornerstone for the security and advancement of human civilization in 40k. And failure to save it, either due to incompetence, betrayal, or simply the weight of adverse circumstances and formidable opposition, would have dire consequences not only for the Mobian domain and all the planets that lie within, but also for the Imperium itself. Just slipping in a quick, mildly exciting channel update from me. I've partnered with Gap Games as an affiliate, marking a pretty big first step for the channel. Gap Games is the place where I shop for all my plastic crack needs. They have some pretty solid discounts on Games Workshop items and a massive catalogue of other hobby series. Definitely worth having a look, and I recommend checking them out. You'll find my affiliate link in the video description below. Anyway, thanks for watching. Dystopian Chimp out.